terrifying deep sea creatures. There's some scary ones, so I thought I'd rank them in a tier list as to how dangerous they are, from weirdly cute to pure nightmare feel. Alright, let's go.
The barreleye fish.
Alright, starting off strong on this list is the barreleye fish, which is salmonella clone. Huh? Bro really thinks he's original. Hey, come on, guys. I took a little bit of inspiration. You're not original! Fighting off of his coattails. You should just kill yourself, salmonella. His little bro. Yeah, back to what we're talking about. The back half of this fish doesn't look that crazy, right? Alright, here's the other half of him. What is that? This is a fish which has decided to, instead of have its eyes outside its head like literally every other animal, instead have its eyes inside a transparent head. And despite what I initially thought, these gray dots here are not its eyes. Instead, it's these green balls. And also, you can see the brain in there somewhere. Yeah, I don't really see it, but it's in there. Okay, so why did it evolve like this? Well, the reason is because while swimming in the deep water, this eye positioning helps the barreleye see the shadow of its prey above it, since the eyes are always pointing upwards. Alright, but what about when the barreleye is in front of its prey and wants to eat it? How can it coordinate its movements if its eyes are always pointing upwards? They have the ability to shift the position of their eyes inside their own head. Disgusting. Anyway, all this makes me wonder, instead of all this evolutionary fuckery, why did these fish just look up? I'm sure there's an evolutionary reason for why the barreleye couldn't go down this route. I just can't think of one. Like, why couldn't they just look up and then look down like every other animal? I don't know. Anyway, the barreleye fish honestly isn't all that scary once you look past the transparent skull thing. I mean, these guys do live pretty long, at an average of 60 years, but it's only designed to handle eating zooplankton, so it doesn't sport any massive teeth or venom. And according to Google, the barreleye is said to be quite small, at an average size of 5 to 6 inches. But if you ask me, 5 to 6 inches is not that small. Overall, I give the barreleye an F tier. Like I said, once you look past the whole transparent skull thing, these guys are pretty harmless.
The black swallowfish.
The black swallower is... Wait, I got something. Oh, yeah, that's the black swallower. That's terrifying. They have interlocking teeth, which basically means their teeth are like jail cells for their prey. They also got this crazy octomom gut, because these guys are known to swallow entire fish whole, and can swallow things 10 times its own mass. So all things considered, this is a pretty terrifying fish, right? Well, despite how much I've hyped it up, it only gets up to 7 inches long. And the more I learn about them, the more I realize they really are all bark and no bite. I mean, they definitely won't kill you, but they still do look like this, so I'll give it a C tier.
The goblin shark.
Alright, this is the first one that's actually terrifying. Like, sharks are obviously horrific, but even among sharks, this is a standout case because it's so freaking ugly. It's like God was just messing around in the character customization for this one and just completely maxed out its nose for no reason. Anyway, unlike the other small fry animals we've talked about, these guys actually get pretty big. They're around 12 feet long and weigh 500 pounds. If that isn't terrifying enough, these sharks can also reach a top speed of 15 miles per hour. Okay, that doesn't sound super fast, but for reference, Michael Phelps can only edge out 6 miles, so there is no outswimming the goblin shark. And if that's not terrifying enough, their jaws literally extend out of their mouth to catch prey, and they do it so fast, scientists have to use slow motion cameras just to be able to capture the jaw extending. And if that's not terrifying enough, what is wrong with you? That is terrifying. Anyway, I give this one an S tier. By the way, these sharks also live up to 60 years, which is double how long most sharks live. So I guess if you want to lengthen your lifespan, move to the deep sea.
The sea pigs.
I'm not gonna lie, I just threw these ones into the list because, I mean, what is this? My first thought was that it looked like the plumbus from Rick and Morty. And I was wondering if this thing was, even alive. Like, is that a plant? I don't know. Turns out they're part of a group called the sea cucumbers, which despite the name, are not plants or cucumbers. Alright, they don't really do much, to be honest. They do live 3.7 miles under the ocean, but they just eat up whatever bits of dead algae float down there, and they have a big party every time a massive whale kicks the bucket. You know what annoys me about them though? These guys do absolutely nothing, but they still end up living for 72 years. And isn't that kind of pissing you guys off? I mean, we humans have made massive technological advancements over thousands of years of just compounding research and done everything from groundbreaking medical drugs to artificial organs. And yet half of us are still gonna die before these worthless pieces gets an F tier just because of that.
Proboscis worm Parvulasia corrugatus.
Hey, if you made it this far in the video, consider subscribing. Alright, back to the video. Worms are not that scary. At least the ones we're used to. Most of the time I even see one of them, it's because they tried scooting on the sidewalk during the summer and dried out. Overall, pretty pathetic as an animal, but this is not a great representation of worms because look at this picture. That is called the parvulasia. It's called that, which is up to 2 meters long and lives 11,000 feet underwater. Now, this picture alone is unnerving, but they also have a very unique ability, which, let me just show you the video. Okay, now despite what you might think, this is not that dangerous. It's called a proboscis, and different worms have different types of proboscises, but for the Parabolasia corrugatus, they have an acidic and barbed mucus. Obviously not pleasant, but realistically, that's not going to kill you. Anyway, despite their spiked acidic mucus, they also really don't do much. They get most of their food from dead algae and dead carcasses, just like the sea pigs. On top of that, while it is true these guys get pretty long, they're only 2 centimeters wide and weigh 140 grams at most. So basically, they're built like Manute Bol. Yeah, so in reality, these guys really are not that dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near one, but I'll give it a B tier.
The Sloan's viperfish.
This right here is your stereotypical deep sea monster. They live 9,000 feet underwater, and these guys got everything. The massive jaws, the freakish thing where their jaw unhinges so much it creates a 90-degree angle, and then closes into a cage for any unfortunate fish that's unlucky enough to get caught. They can swallow 63% of its own mass, and they got the bioluminescent thing. Its bioluminescence runs across its body, which attracts fish. I know fish are stupid, but come on, guys. I mean, at least after a million years, you'd think this bioluminescent trick would stop working. I'd expect all the stupid fish that follow the bright light to get wiped out, leaving only the smarter fish to live and reproduce. But somehow, the fish keep falling for this same trick. Anyway, once again, I'm hyping these guys up a lot. But honestly, Hasbulla could probably beat one of these fish's asses, because they don't even make it past a feet in length. And the most fearsome predator they're able to take down is some other small fishes or a shrimps. So, cool animal, but they're gonna have to go in the C tier.
The giant isopods.
As a guy who's scared of bugs, roly-polies are one that does not scare me. These are the bugs that squirm into a ball when you get too close to them. And overall, just a really cute insect. But what happens when you give a pill bug a Planet Fitness membership, daily whey protein shakes, and a lot of steroids? They turn into these things, giant isopods. Now, even though I've been calling them insects and bugs, turns out pill bugs and giant isopods are not bugs. They are actually crustaceans, which means they're more closely related to lobsters and crabs. And I mean, you can kind of see the resemblance between them. Anyway, giant isopods are humongous. Like, here's a picture of them next to some Doritos for scale. Yeah, they're terrifying. They're also extremely common anywhere in the floor of the cold deep sea. These guys walk around down there in the thousands. And by the way, they can swim. They use these things called pleopods, which they flutter underneath them. Although most of the time, they just crawl around scavenging for dead carcasses, which seems to be a pretty profitable niche in the deep sea because a lot of animals go down this route. Anyway, although they are terrifying, when it really comes down to it, these guys really aren't that aggressive. Actually, they're so safe to be around. People have them in petting zoos. You can hold them. So overall, it gets an F tier. You're probably at a higher risk being around a chihuahua than one of these things.
The Pacific football fish.
Have you guys ever seen this scene in Finding Nemo? This thing is called a Pacific football fish, which is the largest of those fish which have the bioluminescent bulb in front of them, or anglerfish. And unlike a lot of other deep sea predators, these guys actually get really big. Just the females get up to 2 feet long, while the males, holy, I mean, these guys, they get all the way up to 60 millimeters. Yeah, these guys only grow up to be a tenth of the size of the females. And if you think that's pathetic, wait till you hear how these guys reproduce. Basically, the female will be swimming around when they look to find these little pathetic fish. The male fertilizes the egg, but then they just lay around and suck on the female's blood for nutrients, until eventually their circulatory system becomes one and they fuse into the female. So, kind of like agar.io, except a lot more disgusting. Anyway, I'll give the females an A tier, because those could probably do some damage to me. But the males, they get like an F minus. Honestly, they don't even deserve to be on this list.
The colossal squid.
Alright, now we're getting to the heavy hitters. And by heavy, I mean heavy, because the colossal squid can weigh up to 1,000 pounds and are 33 to 46 feet long. These things are just humongous. They'll eat pretty much anything, including the Patagonian toothfish, whose measurements are around the same size of an average human. So yeah, this squid could definitely kill us. They also don't need to eat that much. Apparently, despite weighing almost 1,000 pounds, they only need 30 grams of food daily to live. 30 grams. Do you know how many grams is in a Big Mac? 240. That means a colossal squid could eat one Big Mac and be good for a week. Alright, well, maybe not. That poor squid would probably get indigestion, constipation, every other TION that has to do with the digestive system, but you get my point. These squids need very little to live. And do you know why that is? It's because of these massive eyes. I'm sure you already know that the colossal squid has some pretty big eyes, but to give you scale as to how large they are, think of a medium pizza, and that's about the size of just the eye for one of these guys. So even though they live in near darkness in the deep sea, they can still make out 120 meters of distance around them. And also these eyes cover an enormous range, which means instead of chasing down prey like other animals, they just float around and let their sight do the work. So that means less calories are burnt and they can get away with these poverty rations. The eyes also come in handy because it helps them stay away from the big bad apex predator of the deep sea. That's right, baby, the
Sperm whale.
Now, despite the name, sperm whales are not named after jizz. Well, actually, they kind of were, because they got their name from an organ called the spermaceti, which produces a wax-like substance, which humans initially thought was sperm whale cum, but it's not. Anyway, we use this fake whale cum for pretty much everything, from candles to industrial lubricants to cosmetic creams, which means people in the 1850s were willingly putting what they thought was whale cum on their face. It was a product so cool that we completely destroyed the sperm whale population after about 100 years of trying to harvest every last drop of whale cum. Anyway, here are the stats of the sperm whale. The males come in at 49 feet long and weigh in at 45 tons, or about the weight of 9 adult male African elephants. I spoke about colossal whales just before the sperm whale because the only animal that can stop a colossal squid is the sperm whale. Yeah, they get absolutely bodied by the sperm whale in these really cool fights, which I couldn't find any videos of, but you know, it's pretty cool to think about. It's like a real life Godzilla versus King Kong. Anyway, these sperm whales are terrifying because even though they're not particularly aggressive towards humans, what if I told you there's a way these animals could kill us without even trying? Basically, these sperm whales use clicks to communicate with each other, but just the click produces 225 decibels. For reference, standing next to a jet engine is 160. So the sperm whale click is not only enough to permanently deafen you, but literally vibrate you to death. And if you somehow find yourself in the vicinity of a sperm whale who wants to bite you, know that the teeth can get up to 11 inches long, which is about as long as a kitchen knife. So yeah, you'd be completely screwed. Overall, these guys are the most terrifying creatures in the deep sea. I'll give them their own tier. They get S++. Anyway, there you have it. If you want more of these videos, let me know because I had fun making it. But like and subscribe, comment any video ideas. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.